What's going on, friends and family? Hopefully today's doing great for you because it is for me because it's beautiful now outside here in sunny Atlanta. This is a super awesome opportunity for me today to come to you on Old Goat's Corner and share with you something about my life. As you could see from the footage, there was a lot of climbing involved. Today was a day about physical well-being on our other group, the third group, which is warrior well-being and transitioning. And it gave me an opportunity to talk about something that was a very big challenge for me. And I want to associate that with how life actually happened. So as you could see from that video, there was a lot of moving parts. There's going up a mountain. Well, that mountain was actually Mount Fuji. That was the second time that I climbed Mount Fuji, and I chose a different trail because everybody takes the traditional trail, which is the tourist trail and things like that. But there was a second and a third and a fourth trail, and I decided to take the second trail my second time up, and it was phenomenal. We started out at really late at night. It took us a really long time. I'm almost embarrassed to say how long it took us to get up there because I was with a group of people and it took a little bit longer than I expected. But we were able to navigate all the crooks and turns and all the things that were associated with climbing a mountain. And so as we start to look at today and what we have going on, especially in society and especially with everything as a veteran, we think about the phases of life and the different stages and stations of life. And so when I climbed Mount Fuji, there was different stations. If you ever do go and you do climb Mount Fuji, you don't start at the bottom of the mountain at the first station. You usually start around the fifth station, sometimes the eighth station, and you climb your way up all the way to the top. And so for me, I started on a different trail, and it was through the woods. It was dark. It was like midnight. We started the journey up to catch sunrise. And as you saw in the video, there was a really cool picture of sunrise. That footage was actually from an older video that I did, just a kind of a memory video to throw back. So as I'm going in and just thinking about what was the purpose behind me climbing Mount Fuji the second time, because people don't really climb Mount Fuji 2, 3, 4, 5 times, especially while they live in Japan. But for me, it was important because I wanted to challenge myself physically to something that I had fond memories, but also horrible memories of going up the first time because I went with a group and we didn't enjoy that journey going up. The second time I went up the mountain, I actually had someone, a couple people with me that are veterans, they're still in the military now, that wanted to share the experience. And I was kind of like, yeah, let's go. And it was quite the experience. And I like to associate our lives with going through these stages and going through these stations. You start out at one station in life, and it becomes really difficult. And as you're going through that path and you're climbing up those rocky hills, it starts to get second nature. It may really stink. And I think that a lot of people, they embrace the suck term a lot in the military. And when you get into the civilian world, it's a different beast, but you still have to embrace the suck. And so for this particular journey, I think that as you're going from station to station and it's difficult and you get to your next station in life and it's not difficult and you breeze right up that station, it kind of sets you up for the next phase to have a little more confidence. Sometimes you never get a break and you're always climbing up and you're trying to get to the summit and the summit is just, you're never going to get there, or you feel like you're never going to get there. And that's kind of how we are right now, especially stuck in the isolation mode that a lot of us are at. We feel like we're never going to get back to a normal life. And I don't think that's true. I think we will get back to a phase of normal with some extra hardships that we have faced and prepared ourselves for the second time we go through hardship. And the reason why I say that is because the first time I went up Mount Fuji, it was by far ridiculous. Uh, I was not prepared, even though I had been conditioning for almost 3 weeks. I had the wrong boots. I had the wrong pack. I had a pack full of crap. I had an old Alice pack full of just junk. And I was ill prepared for that journey. That journey was just miserable. And so I tried to learn from that mistake going up the mountain the second time and facing that hardship the second time, because it was something that needed to be readjusted. And so I did. I adjusted my life. I adjusted my mental attitude. I adjusted the people around me. And I found that it was something that really helped out. Because when we went up the second time, we enjoyed every step of the way. Even though it was tough, even though it was physical and challenging for all three of us, I personally enjoyed it. I am not one who suffers from altitude sickness or any kind of respiratory issue. So as I was climbing, of course I'd have to stop and catch my breath. But I noticed that my compadres, they were actually struggling a little bit. So that also brings into perspective something. Not everybody's going to have the same struggle up to the summit. Some people may have a harder time and some people may have an easier time, but you're still trying to get to the same place, to the summit. And so the summit for me in this particular thing was a huge representation of life, a new beginning, because I wanted to replace old memories. And so going forward into the next level of life, think about the things that you have had to deal with and the things that you want to accomplish. When you set these goals and you make it to the next station, it kind of gives you a sense of where you're going to go. And sometimes the struggle is harder between those stations, and you just have to remember that. Some of that footing, you can see from the video, was pretty easy to navigate. But then as the closer I got to the top, the rockier it got, the more narrow the path. And so, you have to remember every part of the journey is important. Every step of the journey is important. And making to the summit is the goal, but sometimes it takes us forever and requires a lot of effort. And, you just have to kind of put that effort in there. And when you feel like getting to the top is the best experience and you get there and it is, you also have to kind of think about, well, how am I going to make that transition out of this? And so for me and transitioning down the mountain, I had to come up with a way of where I would share this experience. So it's important to remember when you come down from the mountain, come from the top, come from the summit, that you have a plan and that you have a way to share, to guide other people to get up that mountain. Because I shared my experience with other people who wanted to go up Mount Fuji the second time, and it was something else. They enjoyed it. And so, whether you're in some type of transition from the military, from civilian careers, or even, a major competition, or from college, you think about climbing those mountains, getting to the summit, and then what's next. And so, in closing, just remember, climbing the mountain is tough. So stick it out, stay with it, and then share your experience as you find your way back to the people that are close to you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. And I hope that you have a great Friday. And there's something super awesome that's coming. In June, this particular format, live version, is going to go over to the third channel, which we have, which is the Warrior Wellbeing and Transitioning at Camp Southern Ground, so that I can reach that audience and capture some of those new faces and help them to get to know me. And thank you so much for the support from all my friends and family. Check you on the flip side.